Well, what a weekend of sports that was in the city of Chicago. My goodness, if you didn't find something to enjoy out of that, I'm sorry, you just don't like sports. Hello, you have found your way into Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio. My name is Adam Karnick. I am so happy to be spending some time here with you. We've got a ton to talk about. My goodness, what a weekend. You had the city of Detroit just absolutely is hating Chicago today. 0 for 4 combined over the weekend. A 4-game sweep between baseball and football. And then, not to be outdone, the Cubs went and threw themselves a no-hitter yesterday. Alec Mills, have yourself a Sunday, young man. Yes, we will be talking about Mitch. We will be talking about the Bears. We will be talking about that game up, down, sideways, forwards, backwards, you name it. So much to go through today, only an hour to do it. And if there's time, I want to throw a little shout out to the WNBA and the Sky too while we're at it. Boy, we got ourselves a busy night here tonight on a Monday night. I am so glad you are here with me. I'm glad to be talking some sports with you. Let's have some fun. Let's go. All right. Good evening and welcome in. Once again, you have found your way onto Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I am your host, Adam Karnick. A little bit of housekeeping to get out of the way, as usual. If you like to follow along with this show or any of the fantastic shows we have here on IE Sports, hop on over to Twitter. At IE Sports Radio, you can find all the shows there, tweeted out, linked out, shows like The Unfiltered Truth, who's coming up after us, or 3 and Out during the week, or the Kansas City Shuffle, any of the other great shows we've got. You can find out information about them there. If you like to follow along with this show directly, and thank you so much if you do, you can follow along at Chi-Town Weekly, IESR, and weekly is abbreviated WKLY. And if you want to follow along with me directly on Twitter, I am at Adam_Karnick. Ways to listen. Of course, the show is available live right now. Hello to everybody who's listening on the Spreaker app. If you want to, you can jump on in on the Spreaker app and join the chat section. And listen in there and throw out comments or feedback. Of course, I interact, and anybody else who's in there will gladly chime in and get a conversation started that way. Or if you just like to sit back and listen, that's great too. Pull up a chair, plug in the headphones, just sit back and listen and relax. That's a great way to do it too. You can also find the shows afterwards on YouTube. You can find the show there and listen to it throughout. Boy, what a weekend. Had you said to me last week when we spoke on Labor Day that I would be opening up the show talking about baseball today, I probably wouldn't have taken you seriously. I don't think I would have believed you, quite frankly, quite honestly. And then Alec Mills just kind of goes and forces everybody's hand with a no-hitter. So let's talk some baseball. Let's start off by talking about the Cubs and what Alec Mills did yesterday. In just his 15th career start, Mills, it's easy to forget because this is his third season up with the big club, and he's spent time, he's been one of those pitchers that the Cubs has been ready, but has kind of been blocked a little bit positionally, and just, do you use him in the bullpen? Do you use him in the rotation? Where's the right spot for him? His 28th career appearance all time, 25th with the Cubs, 15th start, though, with the Cubs. Not even a full season starting, and he gets a no-no. And what a difference. It just shows there's no one way to do anything. You compare the no-hitter that Mills had with what Giolito did for the White Sox just a few weeks ago. And a quick shout out to both those teams. Thank you guys so much for having your no-hitters occur the night before I go on the air. It's excellent programming. I gotta thank you guys for that. I'm sure you did it with me in mind, and thank you so much. But just the comparison between the two, Lucas Giolito, 13 strikeouts and just a dominating performance over the Pirates, kept the Pirates off balance and really just swing and miss and just overwhelmed them. Alec Mills, complete opposite. Only 5 strikeouts for the entire game, only 5 swings and misses for the entire game. A good, healthy dose of his very slow curveball, a curveball that's only clocking in around 70 miles an hour, dropping it in early in the counts for strikes, and just kept him off balance that way. Got some good fielding plays early in the game. Ian Happ had a great catch in center field in the second inning to preserve that, a deep shot into the corner in deep right center field. But for the most part, it was just routine plays. They weren't anything special. They weren't anything highlight reel necessarily. They were just good quality pitching and inducing soft contact and getting routine outs. And the next thing you know, oh my goodness, it's the 7th, 8th, 9th inning, and he hasn't given up a hit yet. For the 16th no-hitter all-time in team history, first one that they've had since Jake Arrieta threw one back in April of 2016. So it's been 4.5 years since they had one. That one was also a blowout, 16-0 in that one. The Cubs game yesterday was 12-0 over Milwaukee. And that having a big lead like that certainly had to help Alec yesterday while he was on the mound, knowing that he's got a comfortable lead. He's not necessarily, scratching or clawing just to get the win, but that he's got a comfortable lead there. And boy, the Cubs needed a weekend like that. Obviously, the no-hitter becomes the obvious story of the weekend, and it was enough to get Alec Mills National League Player of the Week for last week. You throw a no-hitter, things like that are gonna happen for you. Good things there. But the Cubs needed a weekend like that. Going into the series in Milwaukee, they were sitting at 27-19. They lose the game Friday night, and they get shut out for the first time. And it's, Milwaukee, they might be, they've got some life. They're not in the playoffs right now, but they could kind of crawl back into this thing here if we let them. And then you get deeper and deeper into that game Saturday night. And once again, they're getting shut out. They're not having much success. They're struggling to put up runs. They're just struggling to hit. Josh Hader comes up in the 8th inning, and you think, oh boy, here you go. Here's some trouble for you. And then all of a sudden, the offense comes to life a little bit, and Jason Hayward has the monster home run. And all of a sudden, you go from this tense, what's happening here feeling to they can exhale. They can breathe for a little bit knowing, okay, we've got a lead. We've got a closer in Craig Kimbrell who, while he's been up and down for the most part while he's been here, he's been consistent. All right, we think maybe we can do this. Now, it was a fun kind of adventure there with Kimbrell again. He needed 17 pitches to get the save, but he got the save. And then just the offensive explosion yesterday, followed up, of course, by Alec Mills doing no-hitter things and getting that no-hitter. The Cubs needed a weekend like that. They're now at 28-20. They're a full 4 games in front of the Cardinals for second place, and they're both sitting at even in the loss column with 20 losses. The Cubs have 8 more wins than the Cardinals, so the Cardinals have got some work to do. They've got, I think I heard they've got 10 games with the Brewers coming up here in the next couple of weeks. They've got a lot of games to make up, and they're going to need to win those games. Suddenly the Cubs, you could exhale a little bit, you could breathe a little bit, and for Mills specifically, a start like this, maybe now you feel a little bit better about throwing him into a playoff game. You probably were going to have to anyway due to injuries. You were going to have to use Alec Mills, but now you feel a little bit better about it. He's obviously he can handle himself out there on the mound, so you feel a little bit better. Maybe he's a 3, maybe he's your 4. Either way, you feel a little bit better about using him in the postseason because you were probably going to have to either way, but now you feel a little bit more comfortable. So yesterday created a bit of history in Chicago too, not just the 16th no-hitter all-time for the Chicago Cubs. Yesterday created what Alec Mills did too for the city of Chicago. This is the first 2020 is now the first time ever that the Cubs and White Sox have both had a no-hitter in the same season. They've both been playing baseball for over 100 years in the city. That's cool. Lucas Giolito and Alec Mills now, that's some neat history that for the first time ever, both clubs, both sides of town, have a no-hitter in the same year. And for Giolito and Mills, that's a neat little feather in your cap. And for the White Sox specifically this weekend, my goodness, what a weekend it was to sweep the Tigers coming into town. Things look a little dicey in Friday night's game, but then they just went to town and took care of business, put up a football score on Saturday night, 14-0 over the Tigers, and then just took care of business yesterday. A nice 5-2 win. Wasn't anything too dramatic. They fell behind in the first inning, but came back right away and just kind of took care of business in that. The White Sox now, with that, they have the best winning percentage. They're tied for the most wins in the American League, and they have the best winning percentage in the American League at 30-16. The Tampa Bay Rays have the same number of wins, but one more loss. And the only team in baseball with a better winning percentage than the White Sox right now are the Dodgers. The Los Angeles Dodgers. Who would have thought coming into this season that the White Sox would be this good this quickly? I think I've talked about it before with the White Sox. We expected to see something this year. We didn't know what necessarily we were going to see. If it was going to be dominance, or if it was going to be a bunch of young guys just kind of feeling their way out in their first MLB season. They're having fun. They're hitting the ball around the yard. It doesn't look like they feel the pressure out there, that they're just going back and having fun and playing baseball, and it's working. I don't know that it's necessarily going to equate to a World Series championship this season, But this Sox team is special. Sox fans, enjoy this. It's been a long road getting to this, both in the rebuild and in the years immediately preceding the rebuild, where you were just seeing a miserable product out in the field, but the front office wasn't wanting to commit to a rebuild. This is all starting to pay off. Strap in and enjoy this. You guys are going to be having so much fun watching this club for the next 5, 6, 7 years. Just enjoy it. It's going to be fun. All right. So that was a lot of baseball. There was another team that played yesterday that, oh my goodness. You want to talk about ups and downs. You want to talk about the roller coaster that can be an NFL game. There was a little bit of everything in that Bears game for you yesterday. Let's dive through it. Let's talk about Mitch. Let's talk about the defense. Let's talk about the Lions. Let's talk about everything that was that game yesterday. This is Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be right back in a few minutes. Don't go away.
Hey, what's up, sports fans? You're looking for a different type of sports talk show, something you haven't heard before? You gotta check out the BS3 Sports Show every other Saturday on 2 Live Stews Radio, 1 p.m. Central Time, 2 p.m. Eastern. Sports talk at its finest. Always have great guests, playing some good hip-hop. You don't want to miss it. Make sure to tune in to the BS3 Sports Show every other Saturday at 1 p.m. Central Time, 2 p.m. Eastern.
From the home plate to the nets, the end zone to the finish line, here nothing is off limits and no sport is safe. Not what it seems with your host Caitlin Seam, bringing you sports like you've never heard before. Catch me Thursdays at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific, right here on IE Sports Radio. The only question is, are you ready?
Hi everybody, it's Calvin here from USRN, here to give you an important message. Since 2017, we have done our absolute best to provide you with nothing but the highest quality of sports calls in the greatest of quantity possible. Thanks to you, our station has grown more than we ever thought. That's why, with your help, we would like to grow even further. Just think, twice the amount of your favorite calls, 24 hours of coverage, talk shows, play-by-play, game-by-game analysis, and so much more. That's right, USRN2 is officially in development, but we can't do it alone. We have set up a GoFundMe page that you can access from our homepage on the left of your screen. We also are planning special giveaways and prizes to our highest donors. Our goal here at USRN is to bring you the best calls possible at no cost to you. In order to continue to do that, we need your help now. Please check out our GoFundMe page, and if you would like to know how you can help, you can email usrnradio@gmail.com. Without your support, we couldn't do what we do.
Lopan, they didn't even want you. Heck, they didn't even want me. But you know what? Right about now, they have no choice. Looking for the real sports talk? Talk that's for us, the people? Look no further. The Wait a Minute Show, a prime time sports comedy cocktail that tucks you in at night. Join me and Lopan Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the 2livestewsradio.com and Saturday 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the waitaminuteshow.com. Sounds like a plan to me. Ain't that right, Lopan?
Indeed.
What's good, fight fans? It's your boy, Marcus Los Rate, here to give you what you want, here to give you what you need. Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm coming to you live, straight from your mama's basement with a crispy, awesome white tea. We are coming to you live every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back into Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Once again, my name is Adam Karnick. Thank you so much for joining us here on this Monday night. That Bears game yesterday. Where to even start with that Bears game yesterday? If you're Mitch Trubisky, if you are a avid, staunch proponent, 100% in Mitch's corner, there was something for you in that game. If you are 100% the other way of get him off the field, it's never too soon to get to Foles. I've seen enough of Mitch. There was a lot there for you too. That was one of the most bizarre fourth quarters I can remember in a Bears game. I mean, thinking off the top of my head, I've got to go back to 2001 when they had the back-to-back games that were won by walk-off interceptions, pick sixes in overtime. Kind of crazy because both of those games had fourth quarter comebacks behind them as well. That's kind of what that was yesterday for me. I'm not sure where everybody else is at with that, but that's kind of where that was for me. That was crazy. That was bizarre. As exciting as it was for the Bears, that was every bit as much as the Lions losing that game as the Bears winning that game. I mean, for three quarters, you couldn't do anything on offense. Mitch looked so shaky, so shaky those first three quarters. You'd take just the first three quarters at what they were. He was 12 of 26. So not even completing half his throws for 153 yards. That's not even 6 yards an attempt. That's not going to cut it. That's dink and dunk and the check downs. I can't tell you how many times it drove me nuts yesterday. All of the times we saw Trubisky on a third down, there'd be an out route where the receiver would break at the line of scrimmage and start running towards the sideline, and Mitch would throw the ball to him. And it would be, you've got the receiver with 3, 4, 5, 6 yards to go. His momentum is carrying him towards the sideline. Now he's got to turn and try to go upfield. And it's just, that play's not going to work. Why are we doing this? Why are you throwing the ball there? You've got to press the ball downfield. And then all of a sudden the switch flips. And you see 8 of 10 for 89 yards and 3 touchdowns. You're seeing almost 9 yards per attempt. You're seeing the accuracy. You're seeing the confidence. You're seeing the determination there. And yes, obviously some of it's the Lions. The Lions were down. By the time you got to the fourth quarter, the Lions were down their top 3 defensive backs. You had the rookie Jeff Okudah, who was out before the game started. Then you had the next 2 guys for the Lions go down. You had one of their new defensive leaders in Jamie Collins get himself ejected earlier in the game. They were down personnel in that fourth quarter. And for the Lions, we saw the stat yesterday. Fox put up the stat yesterday about how all the leads that the Lions blew in the fourth quarter last year, 7 fourth quarter leads that they let get away from them last year and turn into losses. Over the last 33 games for the Lions, so each of the last 2 years plus yesterday, over the last 33 games, the Lions have now lost 11 fourth quarter leads. That's once a month. Every third game, they're blowing a fourth quarter lead. So if there was a team to come back from, even down 17, this was the team to do it. ESPN had a stat, they keep a rolling stat going through their Gamecast of the chance that a team is going to win the game. At one point, the Lions had an over 98% chance to win that game yesterday. I'm pulling up the exact number right here as we're talking on the air. There was at one point it was a 98.3% chance. That means if you from that point on, which was at basically the 5-minute mark of the third quarter. So meaning if you pick up the game from that point as the Bears and play that game out again 1,000 times, the Bears win it less than 200 of them. The Bears win it 197 times out of 1,000 from that point on. The Bears, the Lions were heavily favored from that point on to win, yet the Lions figured out a way to Lions. The touchdown pass to Graham. Then you've got the decision by Matt Patricia to play straight man-to-man defense and not pressure Trubisky throughout the fourth quarter. Javon Wims gets his first touchdown. I believe it was his first touchdown catch as a pro, certainly obviously of this season. And then that final one, that final throw to Anthony Miller, that was a dime. That was a beautiful throw. Trubisky stepped into it. He first of all, he recognized what the defense was before the play. He recognized they're playing man-to-man. They're playing a single high safety. He then, at the snap, he immediately looks to his left, which forced the safety to have to stop and honor the fact that, okay, he's looking this way. I've got to react to go that way, before he then turned and threw to Anthony Miller. So all the stuff that you see the big-time quarterbacks do, he did on that play. And then the throw, he steps into it. He follows through. He doesn't just throw it with his arm. He throws it with his entire body. And just drops this beautifully thrown pass right over the top of the defender, but where Miller has to stretch out a little bit, but it's right in his breadbasket, and it guides him right to the pylon. Mwah! That's, oh my goodness. That's what you want him to do. Obviously, not every throw is going to be like that unless you're Drew Brees. But it's there. He shows you it's there. And then you get into the first three quarters where he's leaning back. He's jump throwing. He's wanting to throw right, but he steps to the left with his drive foot, with his left foot, so that it throws his weight off and the throw goes wild. You know, the Bears had the 2 fourth down plays yesterday. It was interesting to me looking at those 2 fourth down plays. I thought the play call on the one they made, I thought was a terrible play call. And I loved the play call, and I loved the recognition on the one that failed. We'll start with the one that succeeded first. In the fourth quarter, to keep the second touchdown drive alive, they had to convert a 4th and 1 from inside the Lions 5, and Nagy does the play that Nagy loves to do. He can't help himself. He can't just give the ball to Montgomery and say, go between the guard and the tackle, or go between the guard and the center and go get us that yard. No, he's got to run the jet sweep with Cordero Patterson, and it was all Patterson could do to get the first down. And kudos to Patterson for getting the first down, knowing where the sticks were, knowing the situation, and knowing what he had to do, and he went and got it. But man, I hated the play call. And then in the first quarter, the second drive, when they go for it on 4th down, it's an iffy spot to go for it. You would have been looking at a 50-plus yard field goal, but it's 4th and 7. You're right in that no man's land. Okay, you decide to go for it. Mitch recognized the play. He knew where the opening was in the Lions zone. He recognized that Ted Ginn was coming open into a spot that the Lions weren't defending due to the zone defense. He just threw a horrible ball. And Nagy tried to say afterwards, Nagy in his press conference today said, well, the ball got tipped by a Lions defender. That's what caused the throw to be off. No, it wasn't. You look at the replay. Mitch is throwing off his back foot. He's not stepping into the throw, and it's just a duck. It's just a lame duck of a throw that's 3 feet behind Ted Ginn. That ball needed to be leading Ted Ginn, not behind him. If he leads Ginn just a little bit with that throw, not only is it a first down, you're inside the Lions 20. Possibly he even scores, depending on if he's able to put a move on the safety on that play. So those are the plays from Mitch that just frustrate the heck out of you, that just drive you bonkers and cause you to rip your hair out and scream at your television and break your thumbs going on Twitter and just ranting about it. So no matter where you are on the Mitch debate, you've got something from this game to support your argument. He's going to start against the Giants, and rightfully so. But man, there was nothing there to give me to ease me, to make me go, yes, he's figured it out. Obviously, that fourth quarter was fun, was exciting, was enjoyable. But the offense as a whole was a dud. And it was mostly, obviously, it's mostly Trubisky is where you've got to go with that, because he was so inconsistent, because he was having a hard time. The running attack was actually working. I'll give Nagy credit. Nagy stayed committed to the running game throughout that first half. David Montgomery finished with just 13 carries for 64 yards, but they ran the ball a lot in that first half. They were doing a lot of running. And the offensive line responded to it. They were opening up holes. The team as a whole on the day got 149 yards rushing. They averaged 5 yards an attempt. That's going to work. That's going to play. That's going to help you. He had to abandon it in the second half because you went from it being 6-6 to suddenly it's 20-6, and you haven't touched the ball. And then you have the problem too in the third quarter. The Bears' first drive of the second half. I'm pulling it up here. 5 plays and 20 yards, and then they punt, and all of a sudden now you're down 23-6. After the Lions' next drive. So I understand why he got away from it in the second half, but give Nagy credit. In the first half, he was willing to run the ball. He stuck with it. Kudos to you, Coach. Keep doing that. It's going to work. It's going to pay off. Now you got to figure out the offense. Now you got to figure out the passing attack. Now you got to figure out when you get 4 possessions in the red zone, converting those into touchdowns. Their first 2, they just came away with field goals. You've got to turn those into touchdowns. Looking at the stats throughout the game, tell me if you think this sounds like the winning football team. 2 for 11 on third down. Only 5.5 yards per play on offense. 2 touchdowns in 4 red zone trips. 6 penalties for 48 yards. Only 1 sack on defense. And not very many pressures on Matthew Stafford either on defense. Do those sound like the statistics of a winning team? Not to me. They've got a lot of work to do. Yes, they won the game in Detroit. They stole a game in Detroit. You got to get out of there feeling pretty lucky, pretty fortunate that game went the way that it did for you. Get out of town. Get studying the tape. Figure some things out. Yes, I know Robert Quinn didn't play yesterday for the Bears. That shouldn't have mattered that much. He was your number 2 pass rusher. Mack, I know he drew some holding penalties. He got a couple pressures. You need more from him. Akeem Hicks had the 1 sack. There were too many times where Stafford had too much time back there to throw. And he made you pay. He very nearly made you pay at the end of the game. I mean, if DeAndre Swift holds on to that ball, we're talking a very different ending, obviously. The Lions win it in the end. And I feel bad for DeAndre Swift. He's a rookie. I joked with some friends of mine that, after he dropped the passes, he'll fit in just fine with the Lions after that. But I feel bad for the kid. He had himself a good NFL debut. He's got a chance to win the game. And he drops the game-winning touchdown in the end zone. That's going to sit with him. So I feel for the kid. I don't worry too much. The Lions did rack up a ton of yards rushing, 138 yards on 29 carries for the Lions for the game. Adrian Peterson finished, I believe it was 94 yards for the game. 93 yards, excuse me, for Adrian Peterson on the game. They were playing from a lead, and they were able to open that up because they'd had so much success with the passing game. So I'm not worried too much about the amount of rushing yards that the Bears defense gave up. They were honoring the pass. They were defending the pass first. Now this coming week against New York, you got Saquon Barkley. You're going to have to dial in on Saquon Barkley, and you're going to have to make Daniel Jones beat you in the Giants game coming up this week. The Giants are playing right now against the Steelers. We'll see everything there. It's too early to do a proper preview for that game, but I tell you right now, you're going to need to contain Saquon Barkley. Don't let Saquon Barkley beat you this coming week against the Giants. But they've got to get a pass rush. They've got to figure out a way. You can't let the quarterback sit back there and have all day in the pocket to throw. It's not going to work. That'll work against bad teams, but against good teams, you're going to get in trouble. So they got the win. They got out of Dodge. They're 1-0. Take it for what it is. It's a game that by all rights they shouldn't have won, but somehow they did. There was another stat that popped up. The Bears failed to score a touchdown in the first half for the 12th time in their last 17 games. They are now, in those 12 games, they are now 4-8. You've got to get started sooner. You've got to start putting up points earlier in the game. For the Bears, you've got to be getting touchdowns on the board. All right, a quick break, then let's take a quick whip around the rest of the division, the rest of the NFL, and then Chicago, we've got a playoff team in town to start looking at. Let's take a look at the Chicago Sky. Let's talk some hoops after some more football. This is Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hello and welcome to the Soccer Scoreboard Show with your host, Gabriel Montoya. This is the show for soccer, football fans, or whatever you call the beautiful game. Every week, I tackle the latest and greatest news from around the soccer world. From the English Premier League to the World Cup to MLS, Liga MX, and more. You can listen to the Soccer Scoreboard Show and our lineup of fantastic guests every Friday at noon here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's going on, football fans? This is me, your boy Larry B, inviting you to join myself, Colin Reynolds, Mike Pat, and John Felipe for one of the most electrifying football shows you have ever heard. 3 and Out, right here at IE Sports Radio. Recap of the week before, a preview of what's to come, and of course, 3 hardcore head-to-head prime-time face-offs each week. You don't want to miss it.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey USRN fans, do you have a product or company you're trying to promote? Look no further. USRN is teaming up with small local businesses trying to establish themselves via online promotion. Let us know if you're interested. Email us at usrnradio@gmail.com to learn more.
Hey, what's up, BS3 sports fans? If you love listening to the BS3 Sports Show, check out the weekend wrap-up every Monday at 12:15 Central Time, 1:15 Eastern, recapping the weekend in sports like you never heard it before. Comedy, interactive chat room, it's a must-listen. Weekend wrap-up on Spreaker.com. Part of the X Squad. Check it out. You won't be disappointed.
All right, and welcome back into Chi-Town Weekly. We've got one more segment to go through. Let's take a look at the rest of the NFC North real quick. It was just one other game. It's the Vikings and the Packers yesterday up in Minnesota. My gosh. Aaron Rodgers, any talk that that he was old and done? Apparently we're misguided. My heavens. 32 of 44, 364 yards, and 4 touchdown passes as they won 43-34 up in Minnesota. I did not see that coming. I have gone on record as saying for this season I expect the Packers to trend backwards from where they were last year. I still think that, but wow, they're not a team to overlook or take lightly. You know, Aaron Rodgers is still Aaron Rodgers. Devontae Adams, he may only have one guy to throw to in Devontae Adams, but man, does he throw to him. 14 catches for 156 yards for Devontae Adams. That was a shot in the arm for the Packers. What a game for them. So they now get to turn around and play Detroit. If you're the Lions, obviously that's a must-win game. You don't want to start 0-2 overall, and even worse, 0-2 inside your own division. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of a game the Lions come to play with next week as they play the Packers. I'm looking it up real quick. I believe that game is in Lambeau. That would make sense. Yes, that game is in Lambeau. So I would expect the Lions to... It'll be interesting to see what the Lions go to give the Packers in that. If it's... You know, if they've got any fight in them at all, and if Matt Patricia is going to have any chance of hanging on to his job at all, the Lions should come with a fight against the Packers. And I'd love to see it. I'd love to see the Lions pull off the upset next week, but I have my doubts. The Bears are going to be going to need to keep pace. The Packers might not maintain that for the whole season, but wow, they apparently still have it. So that'll be something to keep an eye on, obviously, to look around the division. All right. So I teased it in the open, and I'll be a little honest here. I'm going to step forward here a little bit, and I'm stepping out of my comfort zone a little bit here with this next segment. I want to talk about the WNBA. I will readily and happily be the first to admit that I am a casual observer at best of professional basketball, and I don't watch a lot, if at all, of the WNBA. But it recently dawned on me, I've got a 2-year-old daughter, and she is the world to me. I love her to death. She looks up at me with those bright eyes and just melts my heart. And I realize sports are going to be something that are going to be important to me, and I hope something for her that she and I can, I hope she becomes a professional athlete, or I hope that, she goes and becomes a great whatever in the world of sports. If that's what she chooses to do, great, I will support her. But even if all sports is for the two of us as she grows up and we nurture this relationship, even if all it is it's daddy-daughter sit down on the couch and watch a game together, that's fine. But I want her to be able to look at the television and see girls, see women playing sports professionally. So it dawned on me the other day, if this is something I want, I need to get started with it. So I want to focus a little bit more on the WNBA. Here in Chicago, we've got a playoff team in the WNBA, the Chicago Sky. They're the 6th seed in the WNBA. Playoffs start tomorrow night. So let's do a little bit of playoff basketball preview here for the Chicago Sky. They're the 6th seed. They finished overall in the season. They finished with an okay record, 12-10 overall to finish with a winning record. They got off to a hot start. They were 10-4 overall. And the WNBA, for those that don't know, the WNBA has been operating in a bubble down in Florida, just like the NBA has. The Sky got off to a hot start, 10-4. It's trended down from there since then. They're a team that, as they head into the playoffs, they're a hard team to project and predict. Courtney Vandersloot is just a machine at the point guard position. She's averaging as close as you can get to without being 10 assists a game. That's what you want from your point guard spot in basketball. She's an excellent leader out there. They have had some injuries to deal with. Azura Stevens has been dealing with a knee injury, and Diamond DeShields left the bubble for some personal reasons, and that has contributed to their slide down the WNBA standings into the 6th seed. They're going to be facing the Connecticut Sun tomorrow night. And the way the WNBA playoffs work, for those that don't know, the first 2 rounds are single elimination. You have the 6 and 7 seeds play in one game, and the 5 and 8 seeds play in another. And then the best remaining of those 4, the highest remaining seed, goes and plays the 4 seed, and the lowest remaining seed goes and plays the 3 seed. Single elimination game. And then from there, once you get to the semifinals, then you get into your round robin best of matchups that you're more traditional to seeing in the NBA. the Connecticut Sun are kind of the exact opposite of the Sky in that rather than starting hot and then fading down the season, they had the exact opposite. The Sun lost their first 5 games and were just 1-6 through 7 games. And in a 22-game shortened schedule, normally that would be, all right, they're done, stick a fork in them. The Sun have been able to turn it around, and they earned a playoff spot. They finished with a final record of 10-12. Not great, but considering they were 1-6, that's a hot finish. They're going to be somebody to look at. They're probably their 2 biggest players to look at: forward Alyssa Thomas and another forward DeWanna Bonner. It's going to be interesting to see what that can do, and I'm looking forward to kind of keeping my eye on the WNBA. Again, the first game is tomorrow night. If the Sky win, then they turn around and play Thursday, and depending on how the other game between Phoenix and Washington goes, the Sky would get either Minnesota or Los Angeles. But I think I'm going to watch some WNBA basketball and see what the Sky can do. All right, that's our show for this week. Thank you again so much for tuning in and spending a little bit of your time with me, whether it was live on the Spreaker app on Monday night, or whether you're planning on listening to this as a podcast later on in the week, or even checking it out on YouTube. Thank you for taking some time to talk some Chicago sports with me tonight. I really appreciate it. Coming up next on IE Sports Radio, we've got The Unfiltered Truth with Phil Jones. He's going to be talking, I'm sure, some Raiders football, their big win yesterday. And then also, with the doubleheader for Monday night going on tonight, there's the Steelers and the Giants going on right now. And then also later on tonight, there's the Titans and the Broncos getting set to play. Both of those games will be available to listen for free live online at USRN, kind of a sister station to IE Sports. Go ahead, check out those broadcasts, those play-by-plays. Everybody have a good week. Stay safe, stay healthy, revel in and drink up the weekend that was. Take some extra time to recover from that. Enjoy the fact that the Bears are 1-0. The White Sox have the best record in the American League, second best record in baseball. And the Cubs had a no-hitter. And the Cubs might have just done enough to feel comfortable to say that they're going to clinch the NL Central. All in all, a pretty good weekend. Hopefully this upcoming week has some good things to talk about too. I'll talk to you next Monday, same time, 6 Central, same station, IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Once again, I am your host, Adam Karnick. Thank you again for tuning in. Have a good night, everybody.